looked at all of the challenges we might face, or at least all the ones that people told us that they could think of, and I'll go over some of those, but it's all going to be pretty obvious stuff. You dig a big hole in the middle of the city, there's utilities in there, there's groundwater that flows through there, that sort of thing. And then we came up with a cost estimate, and I think that, I would welcome anybody who wants to challenge that cost estimate to download the plan, have a look at it. For a project this large, 126 pages seems like a pretty exhaustive study. This is really preliminary for something this major. So, if you're interested, have a look at that. Next slide. These are just a few of the issues. A couple that spoke to me really, kind of largely, groundwater in Salt Lake City is all gravity fed, and this would interrupt that. Now, this is not an unsolvable challenge. There are places in the world where they have a dewatering system to drain their groundwater. So that's something that we'd have to consider. There's a lot of utilities under consideration. Once the train box is in, those utilities would probably be really well served, right? Because you could account for it when you build the thing. But it would be a lot of disruption as it's happening. I'm told there's a 5-foot brick tunnel that drains all of the sewage from downtown. That you probably don't. I don't think it crosses, but a train may shake it apart. So stuff like that. And then just there are not a lot of construction projects on this scale, at least in this city. So we're just sort of trying to slowly learn as we go along. Next slide. I'm assuming because you're here and you're excited about this, I don't need to go over the benefits of it, but they're numerous and they're really substantial, right? You are eliminating that divide and you're also gaining a lot of real estate that you could then look at. Next slide. So this is a brief look at our cross section. Again, this is up on the website. Grab it, look at it, tear it apart. This cross section here is right where the station would be, right at the Rio Grande. So that's the largest cross section that we have. And we kind of looked at, we basically gave everybody everything they want, with the idea that if you're going to dig a hole this big, you don't want to wish that you had done something differently. Now, could you look at that and say, well, you could save costs by doing X, Y, Z? Absolutely. We sort of presented, I was going to use a car metaphor. I'm not going to say Cadillac. We gave you the most robust rail system that we could, so that there's space for everybody, including Amtrak having their own rail. So that's the cross section. This is a lot of the numbers. Estimated 3 to 5 billion, I think, is a big takeaway. You get about 76 acres back. 6 to 8 billion in maybe construction time dollars. Again, I would invite anybody who's interested to look at the plan and try and poke holes in that. My sense is that for every cost savings that you might see, I don't know if y'all have done construction projects in your home, but just sort of the notion of once you're in there, start discovering stuff. I think there may be some of that. But anyway, that's our estimate with this first blush look. Next one. Oh, perfect. Thanks for the QR code, Matt. That's how you can get to it. You should be able to find that on your favorite search engine in a couple minutes if you don't want to write that down or look at the QR code, but give you a minute to grab that if you want it. Everybody good? Okay, marching on. So this is just sort of a look at a lot of the other stuff that's going on in the area. It gives me an opportunity to sort of announce what we're doing next as a city. You can see that the Rio Grande plan is there in purple. That's the cross-section that we put together with the city and our friends at Kimley Horn. And then Station Center is a RDA and UTA project. They're looking at redoing their station area right around Central Station downtown. Obviously, guessing that looking at expanding I-15 is not news to anybody in this room. UDOT's looking at expanding I-15, which doesn't necessarily affect the rail, but it does kind of affect thoughts on the east-west divide. And then this kind of a larger mustard colored area is the study area for the federal grant that the city just received, which is the Reconnecting Communities grant, and I'll talk a little more about that, but that's kind of our next step with Salt Lake City. This list is not exhaustive. Just put a ped bridge in at 3rd North, looking at expanding bike access over the 4th South Viaduct. There's tons of stuff going on. I think a lot of smart folks realize that there's a problem and are attacking it in a lot of different ways. Next slide. So this is the link to our critical connections page. Go ahead and grab that. Although if you're on the Rio Grande page, it will be very easy to get to that as well. So just to talk through this, Salt Lake City has received a federal grant in partnership with UTA to, over the next couple of years, once we kick it off, have a larger conversation about the East-West Divide, trying to bring in as many of the affected communities, and to have a conversation that I think sort of is predicated on the idea that it's transportation problems that cause this divide, and so it's sort of incumbent on transportation professionals to help address it. It's going to be a broad community conversation. Right now, we don't have a proposed solution. I would welcome all of you who are excited about Via Rio Grande to be a part of that conversation. And it may be that the train box is what we come up with. It also may not be. We're going to allow that process to sort of run its course. And then that, would result in sort of a proposed project, not construction. But you can have a look at that, and we'll make more announcements from Salt Lake City Transportation about that project. I think, was there one more for me? All right, thanks for having me, guys.